So, by now everyone knows about the assassination of the right-wing political activist and commentator Charlie Kirk. Obviously, I think that what happened was absolutely horrific and should never happen to anyone, in any context, in fact, beyond the trappings of overt political issues. No one should ever be murdered. A statement I never thought I would have to make, but at this point, the rising tensions in America are through the roof, and these are things that need to be stated plain and succinctly. Unfortunately, before Kirk's killer was in custody or even identified, we saw a massive amount of vitriol coming from both sides of the political divide. Many left-leaning people and pages mocked the fact that a man who advocated for violence as public policy was murdered.
By the way, this is my other problem with death penalty. It takes too long, too many appeals.
Expensive.
It should be public, it should be quick, it should be televised. You think children should have, you should see it? What is the age? At what age should you start to see public executions?
16.
I think you could do it earlier. I think you maybe at age 12,
Whenever-
like 6th grade or so.
While I understand the irony, I really don't see the need to do that, and for pretty obvious reasons. And I think it's absolutely harmful to the pro-peace movement, to which I'm a part of. Now, the biggest issue with the reaction itself to the news of Kirk's death, at least in my point of view, is the response from popular political pundits and even elected officials, up to and including the president himself.
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today.
These are not your friends. These are America's enemies. They're your enemies. And you cannot channel and harness their anger towards productive ends.
They know what they're doing. Our universities, in many cases, have become incubators for extremism. They become the equivalent of madrasas for jihadism.
Now, whether or not the shooter held what people would describe as right or left-leaning ideology, they do have one thing in common with all of the perpetrators of political murders, mass shootings, or assassination attempts as of late. They are all 100% internet brain-rotted, ideologically and morally incoherent people who were or are what many would describe as a total lunatic. And the thing is, clearly the vast majority of people of any ideology are not out there committing or calling for violence. So to take the actions of individuals and apply it to every single person who believes in a political view that doesn't align with yours is just completely ass backwards and a downright dangerous thing to do. And in my humble opinion, at least part of what is leading to this violence is a lack of adequate mental health care access and the social stigma that seeking help still brings. When combined with an extremely contentious time where the political divide is drifting further apart while inflammatory rhetoric and meme culture dominate the modern world, it's unfortunately not surprising that we're seeing more of this type of violence. As a person who would be described as a lefty by others, I think that a step towards the right direction in solving a fraction of this equation is improving healthcare overall in this country. Specific policy actions and wording we can talk about and even argue about later. That's just politics. In fact, I'll tell you a few of my main concerns when it comes to political issues in general so you can understand what a leftist perspective is and judge for yourself whether what I believe is really something to be afraid of. And keep in mind, these are my values specifically, and not everyone agrees on everything, even those on the same side. So what I advocate for, in the simplest terms, is that the federal government uses its resources to enrich the lives of its citizens, and treats all people equally under the law. For example, I believe it's the responsibility of the government to use taxpayer money to fund things like medical research and universal health care, which is ultimately vital to the overall health of not only the population at large, but the ever-insatiable will of the economy. When you have a population that can't afford health care or to pay for elder care or any medical emergency, really, people suffer and oftentimes die needlessly, and our country is worse for it. A couple of my other main concerns when it comes to the policy is the lack of affordable housing in this country, the complete lack of adequate wages in the face of rising inflation, corruption on both Republican and Democratic sides when it comes to taking money from big donors, and the militarization tactics and selective use of law enforcement. I also believe that the government shouldn't be enabling the ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people with our tax dollars.
An independent international commission attached to the UN's Human Rights Council released its report this week that accuses Israel of an ongoing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza.
So if you really think that positions like these deserve to be lumped in as radical, extremist, or evil, I guess all I can say is that's unfortunate, and I hope you develop a sense of empathy at some point. Now, to contrast, you have some people on the opposite side of the spectrum, like this local contemporary of mine, who believes in policies like this.
Leftism is a mental disorder, and their ideology is their manifesto. They want to go out and say, we're going to fight back. We're anti-fascist. We're going to do something. We're going to protest. We're calling businesses and cancel culture, and they're all trying to do something. Anytime you disagree with them, you're racist. We're going to get you. You're misogynist. We're going to get you. Oh, you said this. We don't approve. We're going to get you. And so they got Charlie Kirk, and we're not having it anymore.
So of course, we don't agree on things politically. I even made a few videos calling out what I find to be relatively unethical and disturbing behavior when engaging in what he calls news reporting. Nowhere in these videos did I say anything that wasn't backed up by his own footage and words, unless it was my own personal opinion on the man's character plainly stated as such. Nowhere in these videos did I call for watchers of mine to harass, dox, or commit violence against him or his followers. Now imagine my surprise when immediately after this national tragedy, I see this guy do just that, after spending a whole live stream ranting about how dangerous the left is.
He goes, is it the fool that works at... No. You mean Kyle from the Shire? No, when I went into and saw Kyle from the Shire in person, and I told him, I said, oh look, it's Kyle. It's Kyle from the Shire. I said, come on, man. You sure you want to talk like that with me, buddy? And he didn't have anything else to say ever. The boy almost deleted his entire social media. Never heard another peep from him. Said, Susan Hubble, don't tell me where he works, or him and I will have a little talk. Go get him. He works at...
This shit is so childish, it's almost laughable. But when you tell your followers to go after someone at their workplace, that's just a straight up threat. But don't worry, I won't count you flexing at me as a threat. That shit was weak as fuck. Listen, I'm just a blue collar guy. Wife and kids, home, real American dream type of shit here. Occasionally, I make videos about politics, as well as call people out who think are behaving in a manner not conducive to polite society. I don't have sponsors nor political ambitions of running for office. I'm just a guy out here saying his opinion. But for some reason, this guy apparently thinks I had the power to cancel him. That's just false. I respect the man's right to free speech, but that doesn't mean I can't use my speech to criticize his. The real reason he's been socially ostracized by a lot of the local community is his own words and actions. Just don't be a hateful loser, and then no one can point out what a hateful loser you are. It's quite simple, really. Now, I wasn't even going to make a video concerning Kirk's death at all, but I've been pulled into this discourse whether I like it or not. So I guess to put this video in perspective and garner some kind of overall point, I'll end it like this. Obviously, what happened to Kirk was wrong and shouldn't happen ever. Political violence in general is just unacceptable. And you can't go around threatening the left as a whole, or individuals either for that matter, especially when you have no understanding of, or just don't want to be honest about, what people actually believe. Anyway, that's it from me. Stay safe out there, folks.